What's up, people? It's Leah. We are in a new spot today. I thought I'd give my old setup a little bit of a break. That's where I stream. People see that background all the time. I never get to show off my living room, which my gallery wall, don't look too hard at it right now. Some of the frames are empty. Some of the frames have some temporary art in them. That needs a little bit of a touch up, but I'm planning on doing a big Etsy art haul very soon. I'm pretty excited about that. So, it's all gonna be nerdy stuff. I've got some Legend of Zelda up there. I've got some BTS. I've got some Attack on Titan, which is the perfect segue into today's video. Today, I am compiling a major piece of my Attack on Titan cosplay. I thought it was perfect timing to work on some Attack on Titan since Attack on Titan, the final season, season 4, part 3 of 4 just had its release date. If you watch Attack on Titan, I'm sure you are just as confused and frustrated as I am that we are now on the 3rd part of the final season. I am just so excited for the show to come back and to finally, hopefully by the end of this year, see how the whole story wraps up. Attack on Titan is my #1 all-time favorite show, but the only way for it to truly cement and be my favorite is for me to review it after the show is completely finished. Which it will be soon, hopefully. They keep teasing us with this final season and then it not be the final season. Anyway, today we are going to be working on that cosplay. And today specifically, we are going to be making the ODM harness that the characters wear. ODM gear stands for omnidirectional something. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. All that matters is it's a really cool harness and it's gonna be a lot of fun to put together. I'm calling it a General Scouts cosplay because if you watch the show, you'll know that most of the characters kind of wear different variations of the same uniform because they're in the army. I mainly wore this as Mikasa, but I also have a wig that I could be Krista. And some of the other characters I probably need to get a wig for still, but I do like that this is so versatile and it can cover a lot of different characters. As you can see here in this still of a TikTok that I've done before, I am wearing a harness. I've actually made this before, but the construction was pretty poor. The whole thing was sort of falling apart, didn't fit very well, and when you got up close to look at it, you could just tell it was not made well. Now, disclaimer, I do consider myself a bit of a novice when it comes to cosplay. I've made a ton of them, but a lot of the skills and techniques I'm still very new to, and I'm sort of like figuring it out as I go. But I do think that the knowledge that I have and the skills that I do know how to do are very accessible for anyone trying to get into cosplay. In this particular cosplay tutorial, we do have 2 crafting 101 basics that I'm going to show you, and that is using grommets and using rivets to elevate your cosplay a little bit and make it look a little bit more put together, even if you are not that great at the construction of it or you can't sew or anything like that. There are a lot of ways that you can make your cosplays unique and make them look really well put together. I'll be the first to say I'm not that great at construction. Sometimes things don't fit me very well. I'm typically measuring everything like on my body, which is not always the easiest to do when you're measuring like on yourself, but I get it done and I make some really cool stuff. And I hope that this video can help you also make some really cool stuff. So the Scouts harness is typically done in brown, but I decided to make a black one because I just think it looks a little sleeker. It's unique to me. It will make my cosplay stand out different from the rest. And I also think that the straps that I'm making in black will be more versatile and maybe things that I could reuse for other cosplay or in my daily wear. I wear black. I don't really wear a lot of brown, so I just thought brown would be the normal choice and I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I've got an amazing pair of black knee-high boots that will work great with this cosplay. So to start out, I like to lay out all of the materials that I'm going to use or think I may use prior to getting started. It's good to just have everything on hand at the beginning so you don't have to rummage through your stuff looking for all the supplies as you go. If you lay it out and sort of have a designated table or area that you can have it all placed out, it's so much easier to just grab what you need and then put it back where you got it when you're done using it. First, of course, the black leather straps, which is going to be majority of this cosplay. I bought a lot of this black leather. Fake leather, actually. I want to make that clear. Then I brought out this other fake leather material. I thought I would maybe use it, but I didn't really have like a clear vision for what I'd use it for, but I thought it'd be good to have it close at hand, just in case. These are the buckles that I'm going to use to make some of the leather straps. I got 2 different sizes because I definitely knew I wanted to use the smaller size and I had enough for that, but I brought out 2 bigger ones just in case I wanted to make one strap thicker or anything like that. Also, I thought these metal rings might come in handy as well. I am going to be making a lot of grommets, so this is my big stack of grommets and the tool that you use to put the grommets in. And of course, a hammer. I brought some buttons out. There is one piece that needs a couple of buttons. I just am unsure the size that I'm going to use yet, so I brought out all the sizes that I have. Scissors, X-Acto knife, some tape, always good stuff to have, sewing pins, sewing clips. I am a huge fan of clipping instead of using pins when you are putting fabric together before you sew it. A cutting board, a glue gun. These are some rivets I'm thinking of using. I haven't decided what size or color yet, but I do have some idea of how I can fasten the straps in some locations with rivets instead of buckles. Some elastic may come in handy, and some various thread and threading accessories. I've got here my needles, my thimble, and my threader, and this kind of sheer black fabric that I'm going to use for this little skirt thing that goes over the harness. I don't really know how to explain it, but I'll definitely show you how I make it. Next, I sketched out what my design was going to be. I use Procreate on my iPad to draw up sketches and designs and various other things like my Twitch emotes, my bullet journals on here, bunch of other fun crafty things that I do with Procreate, one of the best apps I've ever used in my life. If you are an artist, especially an electronic artist, you will never need another app in your life. Best $10 I ever spent. It's a little hard to see because the screen is very white. I will work on that for next time, but you can see here sort of how the harness works. There's a strap across the chest. There's a belt around the waist. There's the skirt that is around the middle. I don't really think I'm going to attach that to the harness, but I'm definitely still gonna make it. There are 2 straps on each thigh, straps around the knees, an X strap that goes from the midsection to the knees, and then some X's across the back. And this is subject to change as I get into the practicality of making it. Sometimes things don't work out the way I envision them in my head and I have to think of something else on the spot. Sometimes I think of something cooler in the moment. So this is just a general outline, but sort of gives you a good idea of what it may look like. Getting into making the harness, we're gonna start mostly with the bottom half and then move our way up to the top. Starting with the straps on the leg, one of the more complicated things that I needed to make. I have to measure them, I have to put grommets in, and I have to sew in a buckle. Now, I said it before, I am a bit of a novice when it comes to cosplay, and I do have this bad habit of not looking up the way that things are supposed to work. So I did do majority of these straps, making the holes for the grommets incorrectly, but don't worry, I'm not going to show you any of that. I am just going to show you with this little extra piece of black strap that I had left over, I'm going to explain to you how to make a grommet hole. So you take your tool, they come in different sizes. So this is the size that came with these grommets, so I know that it works perfectly. You put the side with the, I guess, stencil on it onto the fabric you want to make the hole with, and then you take a hammer, you hammer the top, and voila, you've made a grommet hole. Now you push the grommet in, and using the grommet tool, you put the base on the table. The longer side that you push through the hole goes down towards the table. You put the other piece of the tool on top and then you hammer that in. Voila, we've got ourselves a grommet. So I did that many, many times for all 4 of these straps, as well as added a grommet hole where the buckle was going to be sewed on. And then I sewed the buckle in. These lines didn't come out as clean as I wanted them to. They're a little wonky, but the good thing about this is the way that the straps are going to be put on, they're totally gonna get covered, so you're not going to see the sewing line. I also had to sew little strap guards. I don't really know, but you know, like the little holders that hold the end of the belt in. I had to make those. So those I hand sewed. I just did sort of like a loop stitch. I don't know the name of it, but I just sort of like serged the ends together. I'm not very technical. I just sort of learned how to do these things as I was going through life, but I cut them 3 inches long and then then I rolled it onto itself, and then it fit perfectly into the strap to hold that end of the belt. I also made a belt for my waist in the exact same way, and I also made the strap for the chest in the same way, but we're gonna put that to the side for now. We're gonna work on the top later, but while I was doing the buckles, I just figured I would do all of the buckles. Now I'm ready to focus on this skirt. So I've got this semi-sheer material. It's just something that I have. I didn't really want to go out and buy something different because I knew that this would work perfectly for what I was doing. First, I cut it in half. Now I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to clip those edges so I can sew that edge nice and easily and have the skirt completely folded in half. I'm also going to cut the edges a little too to make them a bit straighter. This material, you don't have to have a finished edge on. This material isn't going to fray, so finishing the edge is not really important. I just want it to look really straight so it looks clean and crisp, but this is going to be sort of flowy anyway, so the edges aren't perfect, but it's not really going to matter with such a thin fabric like this. Now it's nice and sewed. The next thing that we need to do is add some clasps to this so that we can close it. Initially, I was planning on using buttons, but if I'm being honest with you, I've never used my buttonhole maker on my sewing machine, and I was a little intimidated, and I just wanted to do something a little bit simpler, especially since this is such thin fabric. I think that using these hook and eyes is going to be a lot better than using the buttons that I pulled earlier. But we are going to need the belt right now because we're going to work on the crisscross straps that go in front of my legs, and they connect to straps around my knees. Since the straps around my knees are going to be potentially hidden under my boot and are really just there for security, I'm not going to add any buckles to it. I'm just going to do a black strap on the front and then a black elastic in the back so it'll be nice and snug on my knee. So I sewed that in nice and secure, and it fit perfectly. I was having a lot of trouble in this next part. I wasn't really sure how I wanted to attach these black straps. So initially I actually sewed it directly onto the belt, and then I sewed it onto the knee straps. But then I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do at all. Additionally, the more I was wearing the straps that I made for my thighs, the more I realized that I made them too small and they were sitting way too low. Hey y'all, it's the next day. I stayed up till like 3 in the morning last night working on this, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I had this just like epiphany idea. So a lot of the work I did yesterday, I'm actually going to redo because it didn't really work out the way that I wanted to. Number one, the straps around my legs, I feel like are supposed to be more up in my hip crease rather than being like mid-thigh straps, but they're too small to move them up that far. So actually what I'm going to do is the same way that on this piece that's around my knee area has elastic on the back, I am going to add elastic to the leg straps so that they have a little bit more flexibility of moving upward on my leg, number one. Number two, I think it will make it more secure. And then number three, when I put these on, I won't have to worry every single time about having to unbuckle it. You know, the buckles can stay buckled all the time because with the elastic, it'll be easier to put them on without having to like open them up. And then on top of that, I don't think I'm going to connect them then to the little like crisscross strap situation that's going to be in the front of my legs. I think I'm going to keep them separate. I'm sort of just making this up as I go along. And this is sort of the first time in this particular process that I said, okay, I didn't really like what I did. How can I brainstorm to make this better? And the truth is like, I'm already very low on strap. That's another thing is I ordered more that's going to get here tomorrow. So I'm going to be working on this a lot in the next 2 days, just trying to finish it up for Monday morning. And yeah, I just couldn't see any reason to scrap all of this work I did yesterday. I lose all of these holes that I put in. I would have to redo all the buckles. The straps wouldn't be usable. So I was just like, you know, rather than remake them, let me just make them bigger in this way. Put a little elastic around the back. I think it'll look good, honestly. And I am gonna do that now. So I got to work fixing the thigh straps. The same way I made the knee straps, I put the elastic in the back, and now it works perfectly. Now the buckles on these straps never have to open. They can always stay closed, and they're gonna be really, really snug and really really, really high up on my thighs. And I'm very, very happy that I made that change. Otherwise, these wouldn't stay secure at all. The thing was, when they were in my mid-thigh, they were sliding down a little bit, but now that they are much higher up, they sit so much more snugly. And I was trying to think of ways that I could incorporate these into the full harness and somehow sew it in. But now that they sit so securely on my legs, I think I'm just gonna leave them completely independent of everything else. And I'm not going to actually sew them to anything. And I think they'll sit fine. And I've been wearing them around as I was making the rest of the cosplay and they didn't fall down. So that was enough for me to say, I think these are good just as they are. Then with the straps that goes from the belt to the knee, I decided to loop them around with rivets and make it so they can actually be removed from the belt strap. I just think having them loose is going to make it so much easier to wear this and give this just a lot more room to play with in terms of placement of the straps. And here's how to make a rivet. It's actually very, very similar to making a grommet. The only difference is I'm using a smaller tool, but same concept. Put what I'm calling the stencil side down, hammering it, making the hole, putting the long end of the grommet through the hole, putting the other end onto the tool on the table, putting them together, putting the tool on top, hammering the top. There you go. Typically, if you buy large sets of grommets or large sets of rivets like this, there will be directions inside and it will come with the tool. It's super, super simple. And in some aspects of crafting, this can be a really good alternative to sewing. And I did have to take out some sewing that I did last night, and it did leave a little bit of imperfection on some of my straps, but honestly, unless you're really close up, you don't notice it. But just be warned that if you do have to remove any stitches that you've made, you may also run into this problem. For me, I'm just mostly going to be covering them anyway, so I'm not terribly worried about it. And so this is our progress so far. I am getting so excited. I think it looks so, so good. Here's the problem though. You know all that black leather that I bought? You know, the straps I've been using for this whole project? I've run out and I still have the whole top half to do. Hello, so update. It is 7 p.m. on Sunday and I post my videos on Monday kind of around noon usually. The problem is that I ordered more leather strap to finish off the top half of the harness and it hasn't arrived yet. It said it went out for delivery at 10 a.m. and it wasn't very far from here. So I'm a little concerned it won't make it in time, which sucks because that just basically means the video is going to be late or I'm going to stay up really late to finish it. So we'll see. But as of right now, I am making food and I'm going to watch The Last of Us. It's okay. I'm only slightly stressed out about it. I'm going away next week. So I have a lot of filming I need to do and prepping for the week I'm going to be away from my apartment. And this just kind of puts me a little behind schedule, but that's okay. I'm going to make it all happen. By now, you guys will know if the video was late, but as of right now, it still might make it out on time. We will see. So just as I was finishing up eating and crying over The Last of Us, which is my new obsession, well, old obsession brought back because I do play the games and I have been playing The Last of Us on Twitch and it's been really fun playing the game, watching the show. So, so good. I was definitely glad that I got that break to watch The Last of Us because it was nice to just relax and watch something that I've really been enjoying, but I definitely was stressing a lot about whether or not I'd be able to finish in time to post this video. And lo and behold, as soon as I finished, knock on the door, there's Amazon with my package. And luckily, I really don't have that much left. The only thing now that I was worrying about was that I bought enough strap. But as soon as I started, testing it out on myself, I realized I totally had enough and I was good to go. I started out doing the straps that were going to run from the chest to the waist, I decided to have a little extra fun with this and not make the strap go straight from the chest to the belt. I decided to add in a little bit of my own flair. I have these book rings. I know it's like really weird, but you're supposed to put, I don't know, like flashcards or something on these for school. I have literally no idea why I have them, but rather than the rings that I pulled before, I think that these rings will work better because they open. So if I ever want to add any more to this or I want to change anything out, it'll be super simple. So I started measuring out the crisscross that I'm going to do in the back. Really all the measurements that I do is just on my own body. It does get a little awkward sometimes, but I feel like that's the best way to do it. If you're wearing it, that's the most effective way that you're going to get an exact cut, I guess. I don't know. I guess you could measure it first with a measuring tape on your body and then lay it out, but I don't know. This is just how it's worked for me. And I can't say I've never had issues because I've had to remake things so many times, but not a foolproof method, but easy for a beginner to figure out, you know? I wanted to do another crisscross across my back, but I honestly couldn't figure out the best way to do it. And I was really just loving the way that this was looking. And I thought simplicity was maybe key here. So once I was done with the strap across the back, I added a rivet in the center of that to keep it together. And here is the final reveal. I am so stoked with how this came out. It fits me really well. It's so comfortable. It looks great over the white shirt and the white pants. And it's such a step up from the old Scouts harness that I used to have. This one looks professionally made. If you look super closely, the grommets aren't all spaced out correctly. My sewing lines weren't straight, but no one's gonna be looking that closely. From the distance that you would look at this looks really legit. And I'm so happy with it. And I'm really proud of the simple skills that I have. Even something as little as adding a grommet, adding rivets in can really elevate a cosplay so much. And you can see that here with my completed Attack on Titan Scouts harness. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this cosplay creation video. If you're enjoying the content, please do not forget to like and subscribe. I have a lot of fun cosplay content coming your way, and I'm so excited to share all of it with you. Once again, I'm Leah, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.
Let it go. 얼어붙어 like whoa. 띵하고 어지러워. I see. 한여름에도 난 겨울. Yeah, 가요 콜라. Yeah, 너와 있을 때 I swear. 제가 먼저 zero 폭설한 그 chill day.